Gowns, beautiful gowns. Okay, so I'm not gonna go into a whole lot with this, or I'm gonna try not to, but I don't even know if this is like appropriate to share on this channel. All right. All right. All right, let's get into it. Today I watched the BET Awards. I enjoyed them. I thought it was amazing. As I start this review, I just want to say I want to give kudos and honor to all the people who played a role in the background. I was just thinking about the setup of this production. It was such a big production, a lot going on with the stage changes. So shout out to all of the crew there. Also the musicians were amazing, and also the background singers. I cannot think of the guy's name, but Whitney. They're I think it's Ray and Whitney. I can't remember his name, but two of the background singers who are married, and you probably recognize the guy with the fro, and I cannot think of his name, but they are always backing up these different award shows and different huge events, not just in a lot of different spaces. And so that tells you how good they are, right? And so they're just amazing. Shout out to them. But it was good, and it was kind of neat to see some people that I know on stage. So that was cool. But where do I start? So overall, I enjoyed the show. I thought it was really high energy. The skits were cool, you know, for what it's worth. I mean, it brought something a little bit different. It was long. It was a long show, but a lot of great performances. Let's get into it with the one that everybody's talking about. That's the 106 & Park reunion or whatever, or celebration, whatever. I like that. I enjoyed it. Just a few notes I took here. Ashanti, what I appreciate about her is that she stays in her lane. She knows her voice. And so I think that's important for any type of entertainer, especially singers, just to know where you fit and what you can do and what you can't do. And I feel like she has a good grasp on that, and she stays in her lane and she does a good job. I appreciate it. Like, every singer is not gonna be a Jasmine Sullivan or a Brandy or a Jennifer Hudson, or, you know, some of these singers that everybody's not gonna be like them. So that's okay, because every once in a while I need a break from all the runs and riffs, you know, so it's good and refreshing sometimes for me personally to hear like an Ashanti who's not gonna give you all the vocal acrobats. A. Marie, gowns, beautiful gowns. Keisha Coles, I have never really paid much attention to her as a singer. I know that sounds bad to say, but I actually enjoyed her performance, which is interesting because she came up in the era with singers like Blue Cantrell, Brandy, and I guess on the men's side you had like Boys to Men, who were all singers, and 112, and just other people in that era who really did an amazing job at singing. So, but I never really paid a lot of attention to her, but I thought she was great. I know her songs, but I just never sat down and listened to like an album. And I know she had a reality show and stuff like that, but I never paid attention. Maya's voice is so incredibly unique, and I think that she's a person who doesn't get enough credit for her style and what she brought to the music industry. So I always love to hear her. She's got such a unique voice, and she just always sounds really young, and her voice she's maintained that kind of young sound. T.I. performance, I only know the Paper Trail album. Like, I wore that album out from T.I. But beyond that, I don't know any of his other music. I don't know, but he did okay. Tiana Taylor was another highlight for me. I thought, you know, I talked about her in another video that I did, and I think she's just insanely talented. And I remember a song that she had with, I think it was Pharrell, and this is like way back in the day. She probably was still a kid at this point. and she had a song called Google Me. And I don't even think it actually, I don't know if it officially came out, but it was called Google Me. And she was like, I think it was like, you ain't nobody. And then she would respond, Google me, baby. But yeah, I still remember that song. So that's kind of where I was introduced to Teyana Taylor. But again, I don't think this song ever officially dropped. I think it got leaked or something like that. But I don't know. Y'all correct me in the comments if I'm wrong on that. But that was kind of like her introduction. But I'm not sure what happened with that relationship. Y'all probably know better than I do. But it was just good to see her on stage, doing music again. And for me, I feel like she was one of the best performances of the night. Like, I give her a strong number 2 as far as like the best performances of the night. It was interesting. Taraji in the dress that was like what, 3 or 4 stories high. Like, that's insane. The imagery of that was insane and a lot to take in, but it was still simple. So I thought that was just really interesting and creative, and I just love seeing stuff like that. And the fact that she used her for that, I thought that was cool. So yeah, and then just the artistic vibe she was giving. I will say this with R&B today, how do I say this? It feels really dark. You know what I mean? I know R&B is rhythm and blues, so blues kind of has a bit of a dark overtone to it at times, but the early like 2000s and the 90s music, it just felt a little bit, this is gonna sound corny and cheesy, but I don't know how else to say it, but it felt fun. But music today now feels really serious. It feels like a little bit of like a dark overcast. Has a bit of a dark overcast to it. Everything kind of has that, I don't know, like really pocketed, really overly mixed and mastered sound, like really super clean sound, so it doesn't feel truly authentic. So that's my only critique really of music today, but that's probably just my age showing. I'm over 40, so you know, these are the things that it's gonna be different. I appreciate a little bit of the rawness that was back in those days, like in the 90s and the 2000s, where you know, you just had singers who would just sing. And a lot of the performances tonight was they were, you know, lip singing, and that happens on award shows, doing a lot of dancing. I get that. So, but I did appreciate the live vocalists. Like, I appreciated the fact that you had some of those singers come out and just give you live vocals. That was cool. I appreciated Bow Wow, Hometown, OH, Columbus, right? So I appreciated the live vocals even on the rapping, because right before him you had B2K, and there was just, you know, I know they were doing a lot of dance moves, so that's probably why, but all that lip singing. And then if you're gonna lip sing, just make sure that you that you line up your lips with what the actual track is given. Because there was a couple points during their performance, I was like, I mean, at least try to fool me a little bit. At least try to fool me a little bit. Like, you'll watch Beyonce and she'll give you like live vocals, and then some of it'll be pre-recorded, but you're not gonna be able to tell, because she's gonna kind of mix those two together seamlessly. And there's an art to that, and you know, you can tell some people don't care about that, but that was a little bit annoying. What else? Okay, so I'm not gonna go into a whole lot with this, or I'm gonna try not to, but I don't even know if this is like appropriate to share on this channel, but I'll say it because here we go. From you know, being an African American man who has a mom and sisters, you know, I do wonder if African American female singers, rappers, entertainers are relying a little bit too much on their sexuality, or being viewed as a sexual, I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, y'all know what I mean? Like, being overly sexualized, and that kind of bothers me a little bit because I'm like, man, like there's so much talent, but so you don't really need to show. You can leave some stuff to the imagination, and or you can kind of tease it a little bit, and there's nothing wrong with that. But just having everything all out is a bit. I know I sound old. I probably sound really old, really old right now, and I'm okay with that. And I wonder if that contributes to certain bias that people have. Not that you should live your life worrying about what other people think. I'm not saying that either, because I definitely don't believe that. But it just really made me think. So it was yeah. I don't know. That's a conversation for another day, I guess. But anything I speak is always out of love, and so it's never any disrespect to any artist. As I consider myself to be a bit of an artist as well, so I never want to come down on whatever anyone else is putting out there. So, but I look at a lot of people, a lot of Black female artists, and I just am blown away by their talent. But then when you bring in the sexualization, like I feel like they should be free. It's like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. How do y'all feel about that? Because I don't like the idea of people feeling like they can't express themselves or be who they are, or, because part of who we are is we are like sexual beings, if we're just going to be honest about that. So exploring that side of yourself and putting that out into the world, I guess if you do it with some sort of class, I'm okay with it. But class, I guess, is also subjective. So, deep conversation. Did not mean for this conversation to go there. Wow. Okay. So let's go from that to Kirk Franklin. I'm a church boy, born and raised, so I loved the Kirk Franklin performance. But even outside of like the church, I thought it was still really entertaining for people who, don't even don't even share some of my same beliefs. And so I thought it was cool. I thought it was very entertaining. I loved that he brought on Tamar and the two other people I can't think of right now. But I thought they were okay. I wish he maybe would have brought them on a different song, because it was like they were singing over top of each other and it wasn't really coordinated too well, or it didn't feel coordinated too well to me. But I thought that was a good way to close the show, given that BET, if you think about BET as a station and its history, a lot of the viewership, came from the church audience, right? With Bobby Jones Gospel and other Christian shows. And I'm sure they got a lot of advertising dollars and money from, different faith-based communities that were putting their services on their television station. So I think I just feel like it was the right move there. And I also appreciated this year, because there were a few years where I watched BET Awards where I probably knew like one artist. Because I pretty much stopped following a lot of like the newer stuff for the reasons I mentioned earlier. Not that I have anything against it, it's just not my thing. I just, for whatever reason, it's just, I can't relate to it, or I find it a little bit, I find like music nowadays, especially R&B, it kind of hits like one note for me. It's very like, oh, I'm gonna give you this straight line and I'm gonna give you this full album of this. It just feels like a one note and people love it. So hats off to those artists, and to the people who love them, that's great. And I have nothing against it. It's just not for me. What I love is, I like music that feels very, I like an artist that can give me different sounds and different variations. So I guess I've kind of leaned more into the pop than the R&B in recent years, just because I've gotten R&B kind of just hits this note. It's very monotone. But again, not knocking it. I'm just saying it's not, this phase of R&B is not exciting for me. And I'm probably, again, just getting older and aged out of it. And yeah, that's cool. But I do, and what I mean by that is like you think about some of the like R&B artists that are out now that are popular in that R&B genre. Think about them, but then think about an artist like I don't know, Lizzo. Like, she's not R&B, she's very much pop, and from song to song you'll get a different sound. Like, her first single from this new album coming out sounds way different than the second single. Whereas with a lot of R&B, it's kind of like you get this monotone like sound, and I can't describe it because monotone is not the right word that I'm looking for. But anyways, that's just my personal opinion. So I just tend to go a little bit more lighter or pop or experimental, or give me something that doesn't all carry that one note. All in all, I enjoyed this particular BET Awards because of the diversity of the artists that were on stage. I thought visually it was captivating. The audience looked nice, meaning I appreciate like the black tie affair or dress that everyone had. Like, they actually dressed up for the awards. I thought that was nice. I think it should keep that. And yeah, so all in all, excellent job with this a wonderful award show. If you haven't seen it, check it out, or you can check out some clips on YouTube from some of the performances to see what I mean. And I think you'll find it quite enjoyable. So BET Awards 2025, in my opinion, that was great. I don't really have a lot of negative critique on it. So yeah, that's it.